Welcome, everyone, to an emergency episode of Rangers Ed. This is Cousin Ed with Little Ed. We're here to talk about the news from the day. Good news, bad news. I don't know how you want to interpret it, but some big things happening. It was reported earlier today at about 9 a.m. Larry Brooks tweeted out that Jacob Trouba would be not practicing and not playing tonight due to roster management decisions, implying that he was either going to be placed on waivers or traded by the time the game started. Other reporters then picked that up and ran with it, and I guess they all tried to investigate what was going on. Time passed, 2 p.m. waivers hit. Trouba was not placed on waivers. Shortly thereafter, he was traded to the Anaheim Ducks for a depth D and a fourth-round pick. The full trade came in. Trouba, full salary to the Ducks for Urho Vakanainen. Good luck, Sam. And a conditional 2025 fourth-round pick. I haven't seen what the condition was on that pick. I guess Anaheim has 2 picks, so it's probably going to be the lower of the 2. Yeah, I mean, Little Ed, your thoughts just on how the day unfolded. I'm sure you were checking the group chat to see what I was sending and probably busy at work just waiting for something to happen. But Trouba's your boy, so I'll let you take the reins on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you handle Twitter, I handle Instagram, so the same stuff was flying around on social media, I mean, seems like it's been a long time coming. A lot's been boiling up, and something was bound to happen. A lot of people wanted Kreider, a lot of people wanted Trouba, a lot of people wanted both. But yeah, Trouba got the axe, the captaincy taken away, and shipped off to the West Coast. At least he's going somewhere warm. And we read today that he was basically threatened to get the same treatment as Barclay Goodrow, which was wild to me. So that was the latest we saw. And it seems like Drury's just setting the tone and just being ruthless and just not taking any prisoners. And, he's not going to put up with any kind of foreplay or anything like that. I mean, to me, I don't think Trouba was the problem necessarily, unless something happened behind closed doors. I mean, things have been coming out today that it's been affecting him. I think our boy PJ, shout out to PJ, sent me earlier, actually around 45 minutes ago, that he was pretty open with the players and the team, the fellow leadership group, and he said leading was a little hard for him in that situation, knowing that the things were public. So that's something we mentioned last episode in the coach's corner, and our friend Chris Szilard mentioned in the comments. It's hard to lead a team or to captain a team when all these rumors are flying around that your team doesn't even want you.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying last episode. It's like, how are you supposed to lead if you don't even know if you're doing a good job or you don't know how to lead? I mean, he led the team to 2 Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, it's hard. It's got to be tough. Like I said, like we always say, these guys are human beings.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple sides to this, right? I mean, there's the human being side where, look, I always liked Trouba. I always said he's a bit of a unicorn in the NHL today. I still think that his skill set is pretty unique. He's physical, open ice hits. He's also not really terrible at transporting the puck up ice for someone so physical. I mean, yeah, he's
penalty killer too.
Slow, slow-footed, I guess you could say. And yeah, he's been on the ice for a lot of goals against. So you can debate his hockey skills, but he was given the captaincy of the team for a reason. He had the helmet throw that kind of catapulted the team when they were floundering a couple of years ago. He won the Mark Messier Leadership Award last year. The team, like Little Ed said, went to the Eastern Conference Finals twice, won a President's Trophy with him as the captain. So, I mean, you can say whatever you want, but on the human side, I totally understand Trouba wanting to do what's best for his family and blocking those trades over the summer. And I also totally understand the difficulties in leading after everything went down so publicly. And he said it, I mean, he said it. It was hard for him. I'm sure it was, because what kind of respect can you garner in a locker room when the team knows that the management wants to trade you? I mean, you're a lame duck. You can't really get the same kind of respect. But from the management side, or the fan side take away the human element and the liking of the player, I do think it needed to happen. I just think it was time. I mean, he was ultimately going to be moved this summer coming up. So doing it now gives the Rangers a lot of flexibility in season to change the identity of the team. The cap space is pretty significant, looking at the Rangers cap situation right now. They got looking at projected deadline cap space of something around 27 million, between 21 and 27, depending on which, website you use, I guess. They can add a player like Brady Tkachuk, not really subtracting much. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a big deal as far as the cap is concerned and the Rangers' ability to change the identity of this team, which we all agree needed to happen. Somebody needed to be moved. Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin, Trouba. These are the big money guys. And I guess Drury identified Trouba as the guy. It also helps, Little Ed, that they have a guy like Mancini on an entry-level contract who maybe he's not, fully ready yet, but he could be sheltered on a third pair and kind of just fill those minutes. It does help that they have that ready to step in,
Yeah, it definitely helps, but it still bothers me or worries me a little bit because now we have you got Miller still struggling, you got Fox struggling a little bit. I mean, really, all the defensemen are struggling. So
the oldest D is 26 now, by the way, Lindgren, unless you count Rubeedle.
Listen, that's a good problem to have, I think. Sure, I'd like to have a little bit of veteran leadership in there, but you got Fox, you got Lindgren that both went to the Eastern Conference Final. It's a young league. I think that's enough experience and leadership that you need on that defensive core. And even Schneider's got some years under his belt at this point. I do not want Miller being a leader for any of our young defensemen, even though we said EJ Emery is his or Miller is his idol. But it's hard to say that we could shelter him on the third pair when I think Coach Ed would agree he was probably playing our best defenseman before he got sent down or before he got healthy scratched. I'm not arguing with the decision. I understand. I'm very pro AHL, letting the guys cook a little bit and getting that experience. So I'm not opposed to the decision that they made, but I think you can't say he's going to be sheltered when the rest of our defensive core. I keep saying our, and that's like my golden rule. Rest of the defensive core is pitiful. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's hard. It's tough right now. But maybe this is what they needed. And I know I just said in the group chat before we hopped on, but you think that sets the tone for other players that have no movement clause? It's like, all right, listen, like we'll just waive you then.
Well, you can't waive. You can't waive. See, that's the thing. You can't waive somebody with a no move clause. It's really important to just really.
I guess that's my question then.
Well, it's important to get this out there because a lot of fans really are knowledgeable about salary cap, and the listeners of the show, I'm sure, know the difference. But there are some people who probably don't. So I'll just explain it quick. A no movement clause means that you can't be waived or sent to the minor leagues without your permission. Right? That's the key of the no movement clause. A lot of no move clauses incorporate a no trade clause, but not all of them do, right? And it could be a limited no trade clause. It could be a full no trade clause. So you can have a no move clause and a limited no trade clause and still be traded, but you can't be waived. So a guy like Zibanejad, for example, there's no threat of waivers for Zibanejad. He cannot be waived with a full no move clause. So he has to agree to a trade in order to get rid of him, right? Speaking of the threat of waiving, before we, I don't want to rush through the Trouba stuff, but, he was asked directly if the Rangers threatened to put him on waivers if he didn't agree to trade to one of the teams that, the Rangers had agreed in principle. And he was told yes, that he said yes, the Rangers threatened him with waivers. And then he said it's a rite of passage to get fired at MSG, which is not really very classy of Trouba, but at the same time, it's a fresh wound for the guy, so I'm not going to crucify him for it. But damn, that is ruthless of Drury, but I like that. I want my management
I like
to
it
be
too.
ruthless. Yeah, I want
I like
them
it
to be
too.
ruthless. Yeah,
I
it's
think it's we've been saying it for long enough. The country club atmosphere. I think it's like that's kind of like the reputation around the league as well. They've said it on Chicklets before. You know, I think
yeah,
Drury's had enough of it. This is two major locker room guys, big decisions that had to be made, and he made them. You know, it's
yeah,
good. You know, I mean, hopefully it leads to more things like we've been discussing.
yeah. And look, this quote unquote country club atmosphere for me, it's a little. I don't know if it can really be fixed. I mean, since I've been a fan, it's been talked about, right? I mean, it's New York City. It's it's a place where everybody comes in and wants to play their best game. It's the world's most famous arena. They treat the players like gold. That's always been the case. You know, it's one of the best places to go. That's why I'm not worried that people aren't going to want to sign here. I mean, give me a break. You know, that's absurd. Like, of course they will.
Look at
Listen,
Vegas.
if Jacob Trouba, and let's be honest about this, if Jacob Trouba was playing up to his $8 million salary and leading the team and the team was successful, he would not have been traded. So yeah, all this does is send a message to players that will give you everything in this organization, but you need to perform your end of the bargain. That's it. And if a player is nervous about that, then go somewhere else, because I don't
Yep.
want anyone joining the Rangers unless there's someone who's going to be willing, you know, to do that. And not that Trouba didn't necessarily, but he didn't play up to his salary, and there were clearly issues long before, you know, this season. If he was on the market over the summer for whatever reason, something was going on that we didn't know about. Drury wouldn't have just put him on the market out of nowhere. There was a reason. So I'm not concerned. And frankly, I was laughing because people were tweeting, Little Ed, you weren't seeing this live probably, but they were tweeting all afternoon, like, who's going to want to sign with the Rangers after they treated Gaudreau this way and Trouba this way? God, that locker room's a mess. Nobody's going to want to sign there. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Igor resigned 8 years, 11.5 million. So yeah, I mean, I
There
don't
goes
want to move
that.
off. I don't want to move off Trouba into Igor fully. We can flip back and forth, but yeah, that happened. So Igor gets 11.5 million a year, over 8, under 12. I think that was our over under at the beginning of the season.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So he rejected 11 last we heard, I guess. So I guess
Yeah,
they settled on 11.5. Now, one thing I want to say about this before I get your thoughts on Igor, you know, when you look at percentage of the cap, so Shesterkin, this was tweeted by Hockey Stat Miner. Shesterkin will be 12.4% of the cap next year with his salary at 11.5. The highest ever in the first year of a deal for a goalie is Roberto Luongo at 15.3% of the cap in 2007. Carey Price 13.2% in 2017, and Igor at 12.4 comes in third, 0.1% higher than Lundqvist in 2014. So he's right in the ballpark of Lundqvist, Bobrovsky, Lundqvist's original deal, and then Vasilevsky and Pekka. He's right in that ballpark. So when you look at it from that perspective, you know, is that like a normal way to look at this? I mean, cap percentage, or are we just looking at it like, hey, Connor Hellebuck just got 8 point whatever. Why is Shesterkin getting $3 million more than him? You know, like, is because I'm seeing both sides of that. So I'm curious where you are with it on the contract.
I think it a lot has to do with the stupid income tax and all that nonsense. I think he would have signed a lot sooner for probably less if it was a different situation. But I mean, my confusion is, which is what Sebastian just said. Shout out to Sebastian, our fan over in Germany. Is why didn't he just sign this initially in the offseason? Because if this was the original offer, then why is he shaking a little bit? Does he see that his play is declining right now and he just wants to get it done with and get the mental aspect out of the way? You know, I mean, he started off really hot, but lately he's been listen, a lot has to do with the team in front of him. Don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of shots that we see that he should have most of the time.
Yeah, but I remember it being 11 was the Rangers max offer, not 11.5.
Well,
So
it was 11.
maybe.
Well, I found the clip from when we did the over under, so I'll play that right now.
He's Igor Shesterkin, 11 million average annual value on his next contract.
11. So it's over.
Little Ed, you're up.
I'm going
first,
over.
brother.
I'm going over 11.25.
Oh, his salary cap. He's going over. What do you got, Cuz?
I went
I'm
under.
gonna go under. I think that
I'm
Drake gets
wrong.
him under 11. Coach, I don't know. I'm gonna say the Rangers are gonna give in and they're gonna go over.
Coach and Little and nail it.
I'm gonna say the Jeremy Swayman situation swayed the goalie market back down, and I'm gonna say under.
Sorry, Mike.
All right, so we split.
Yeah, I mean, look, Drury tried to play hardball, but I guess Igor had some leverage. I mean, the team looks. I mean, he's faced the most inner slot shots of any goalie in the league this year by far. They got to fix the team defense, and they're trying. I guess they made a move, so you can't say the Drury's not identifying this team needs to be shaken up. And I don't think this is even the end, Little Ed.
No,
I think there's more to come.
So either. Yeah, I agree. But before we move on from Igor into that, I also want you to go in on who they got for Trouba a little bit. We could talk about that. But really, just last thing on Igor is I think if he plays up to his standard, he's worth the 11.5. I mean, since he rejected that initial contract offer, we can go back in the group text and we've all said, like, just sign him. He's worth the money. I'm sure you've tweeted it. I've put it on Instagram. If he's up to his standard and the team is playing well, he's worth the 11.5. But it's got to happen. It's got to happen now. Now it's time for him to put his money where his mouth is or whatever and just play some hockey. And there's nothing left in the locker room. There's no more distractions in terms of that. And now he's just got to prove it.
Yeah, well, he got paid and he's in net tonight. So let's see how he responds to the new contract.
Right. And he's also got Quick to still mentor him a little bit. Quick's no stranger to a big contract and living up to the hype of it. So hopefully he's able to coach him through that and be there as a safety net if shit goes south.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a huge fan of paying goalies.
No, I don't want to do it either.
Goalies only play 55, 60 games a year. They don't play all 82 games, right?
Yep.
And I think a lot of goaltending depends on the team. And, you see teams that are successful that have average goalies, and those goalies look great. And then those goalies go elsewhere to teams that are not successful, and the goalies look terrible. So I'm typically in that camp, but I do think Igor is a special player and a special case. And I think you pay those guys. So I'm okay with it. The cap is supposed to go up a lot. It's supposed to go up a lot. I think it's projected. Last I saw is they said over 92.5, and they don't really have a number yet because it all depends on the revenue and all that. But if it goes up even more than 92.5, then that's great, and then next year is 95, then 97, 98, 100. All of a sudden his contract looks fine and movable at the end. Hopefully, I didn't see if there was any no move or no trade clause. I'm going to assume there is, but we can add that to the list of guys. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. I think it's fine. I think, he's a special goalie, right? He's a special player. It's a little similar to what the Giants just went through with Saquon Barkley. And I think a lot of people draw that comparison because Barkley plays running back. And for those of you that don't follow football, running back is one of those positions where you can fill it with a cheap draft pick and get the same kind of production. So you don't really pay running backs. There's a smaller market for them. They don't get big money because you could pretty much draft someone in the 5th round and throw them behind a good offensive line and they'll score 10 touchdowns, right? So same idea, I think, with goalies. It's an undervalued position because, they only play 55 games, yada, yada, yada. But when you have a special guy and your team has cup aspirations, you take your chances, right? Because Shesterkin could get hot any year in the playoffs and the Rangers win the cup. And I know that's not the best way to to go for a cup is to just kind of hope you get lucky and a goalie gets hot. But he has that kind of talent. You know, the Rangers won 2 games against the Panthers last year in the Eastern Conference Finals because of Igor Shesterkin. I mean, everyone says they were 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup final, but they were only 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup final because Shesterkin. Otherwise, they were 4 wins away, and we all know it. You know, Game 3 was a heist by Shesterkin, the overtime Wenberg tip, right? Game 2 is more of an even game. Maybe they got that one even without him, but it's just still, he can do it. So, yeah, Little Ed, I want to see Shesterkin play Vezina caliber now. He's got paid, so enough. Put that distraction out of your mind. Go out tonight against Pittsburgh, and then in 10 minutes.
Shut them down.
And shut them down, you know. Shut down the Penguins. Right the ship.
Period.
That's it. Right the ship.
He's got to do it. He's got to do it, without a doubt. You know, and if the Rangers were in a different situation defensively, if they were a shutdown defensive team, it'd be a different situation. They might be able to win with a weaker goalie. But the Rangers haven't been that team since I was old enough to really care about this team. You know, so if they're going to be a run and gun offensive team, they need a very good goaltender, and hopefully this defensive core can step it up, because without that, I don't really think it matters who's in net. In my opinion, he could steal games all you want, but he's not going to steal the cup.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and let's be honest too. I mean, look, I hate to say this, but he gave the Rangers a discount, but I do think Shesterkin would have gotten more money on the open market. I mean, reports were out there that teams were smelling
half a mil, 1 mil.
Teams were circling the water, you know, waiting for him to hit free agency. Those were the reports. I don't know how true they were, but there was probably going to be somebody out there who would have gave him 13 plus or something crazy. So, you know, he did just say, okay, let's get this done. The Rangers have to right the ship here. Getting Shesterkin off, you know, Lafreniere signed, Shesterkin signed. Okay, that's out of the way. Now let's focus on getting this, you know, Trouba's gone. No more distraction with Trouba. You know, so there's no more excuses, like you said. I mean, I don't think they're going to trade Kreider. But what else do you think they're trying to do? I mean, there were reports from Brooks today that the Rangers' primary target has been Brady Tkachuk. The Ottawa media turned around and said, no, that's BS. Steve Stayhouse is upset because that's not true. Now he has to have a conversation with Brady Tkachuk. And, you know, I was looking at Brady Tkachuk with you guys a year and a half ago, maybe. I don't even know. Like, we'd have to go back to the episode when I said that's going to happen eventually, right? So here we are. Do you think that might happen? I mean, I texted you, Little Ed, about Tkachuk's family situation. His wife is from New Jersey. You know, he's an American kid playing in Canada. His wife's from Jersey. You know, his cousin is in the minor leagues for the Rangers, Casey Fitzgerald on Hartford. His uncle, Tom Fitzgerald, is the GM of New Jersey. And one of his best friends, Jack Hughes, is on New Jersey. It seems like destined that Brady Tkachuk will eventually be traded to the metropolitan area. And I think New Jersey is going to go for him as soon as they can. So I can see why Drury would try to do it now. I mean, but do you think he has the stones to get it done? You know,
I think he's proving that he does have the stones, but I don't think he has the ability to get it done after everything you just said. I mean, if the owner or the GM is saying outright that he's got to go have a conversation with Tkachuk now, I mean,
no, that was the reports. They didn't say that. It wasn't a quote from those guys. It was just reporters saying that, you know, Drury owes Stayhouse an explanation and stuff like that. I saw, but there was no like. The Stayhouse didn't come out and say that he had to go talk to Tkachuk, just to clarify.
All right, that's a little different then. I mean, the social media team could just be like an intern just quickly responding or something stupid. You really never know, you know. So, hey, it seems like the stars are aligning a little bit, and that's what the situation is because Trouba's contract gone. Brady Tkachuk has a very similar contract. It's just what are we willing to give up for a player like that? And that's the conversation. I mean, there's no secret that everybody wants him. And everything that you're saying just scares the hell out of me because if the Rangers don't get him and then the Devils do, we're in trouble.
Yeah, if the Devils get Kachuk, that's a big deal. I think that team is ready to take a leap if they get a player like that. But look, I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's going to cost Lafreniere." No, I don't think it would cost Lafreniere. That's crazy. I mean, these guys don't get traded. You don't trade a 23-year-old Lafreniere for a 25-year-old Kachuk. Like, that very rarely happens. It would most likely be a package of players, lesser players, something like Cooley. So, players like Cooley would be out there. Gabe Perreault, Othman, Miller, Kako, Heedle, Jones. All those guys would be on the table in some capacity. But it's not going to be Laffy or Fox. I mean, that's crazy. It's not going to happen. I don't think Laffy, Fox, or Igor are getting dealt. Now, if they can keep Gabe Perreault, anybody else, like if they keep Laffy and Gabe Perreault and get Brady Kachuk, I don't care. Like, I mean, Fox and Igor aren't going anywhere. So Laffy, Igor, Fox, Gabe Perreault, just whatever else they want. And, any combination of like 3 or 4 guys, anyone else, just do it and get it done. There's a lot of speculative. I see Chris is saying what the Devils could give. Yes, the Devils have, better prospects right now to offer. That is true, but that's not really the Devils' MO. I mean, if you look at how their GM has operated, he's been very, very protective over those guys. I don't think that they would necessarily even make those moves, So, I mean, they might in an offseason deal or something. I could see it, but Kachuk has a no-move clause that hits July 1st. Ottawa might want to get out in front of that. Who knows? Maybe Kachuk is tired of losing and wants out of Ottawa. Maybe not. We don't know. I mean, it's all speculation. And can we really trust Larry Brooks? He does get it right often, I will say. He definitely has sources. There's no question. But it also seems to be just like throwing that out there. It doesn't necessarily seem like sources say like the Rangers made an offer for Kachuk. It was just kind of like the Rangers like him, so it's not necessarily he's available, right?
It's no secret. It's no secret. I'm sure a ton of teams are going after Brady Kachuk. So just another clickbait article from good old Larry. Clickbait Larry. I gotta come up with a good nickname for our pal, Larry Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, Larry
Larry
he kind of has a reputation of like doing guys dirty. I mean, he had that issue with Dan Boyle years ago, Tortorella, now Trouba. I mean, he reported that story on Trouba. I don't really blame reporters for reporting information they get. That's literally their job. I mean, if I don't, maybe there's a line that you shouldn't cross as a reporter, but I don't know. I don't like blame him, but yeah, I mean, I kind of did Trouba dirty, and look at all the mess it created with the organization. It's tough, but I think right now, and I want your opinion on this, guys who should be concerned are Kreider, Miller, Mika, definitely. If he can't be traded, they can do things that'll really, mess with Mika. They could put him on the 4th line. They could scratch him. They could do a lot, right? So I don't think Panarin. I think he's fine. But I think Kreider and Miller and Mika really are guys who've got to pick it up. Like they just have to get the message here that Drury is ruthless, and that's the end of it.
Miller really just has no excuse at this point at all. I'm tired of that guy. I mean, Mika the same thing, but Miller has everything you possibly could want in a defenseman, and it's just
I
don't know when he's going to get it or what's going on with him. I haven't checked his girlfriend's Instagram in a while. I wonder what's going on with that. Last year when they started to not post together, all happy and stuff like that, that's when he had to take that leave of absence and shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened, and that's why he's playing like this.
I mean, listen, Miller needs it's tough. I mean, he needs a contract. The reports were the other day from Vince that Miller has the same agent as Barclay Goodrow, and Goodrow. What happened with Goodrow has really upset Miller in particular. I guess they were buddies. I have no idea. So Miller is not looking to do the Rangers any favors. I mean, look, with Miller's play this season,
If you think
I
if you think
I
he's gonna get
test
that.
eye test or analytics. It doesn't matter. With his play this season, if he thinks that he's getting more money than he's making right now, like he said, significantly more money, if he thinks that, he's got to pick it up, dude. Like he's not getting 5.5, 6.5 million on a long-term deal if he plays this way. He's got 3 points.
That's crazy.
You know, I mean, this is a guy who had, or 4 points, right? This is a guy who had 40 points a couple years ago, right? Like almost 10 goals. I think he had 10. I mean, if he's got 4 points and he's terrible defensively, absolutely terrible. So the analytics show it, the eye test show it. We all know it. So yeah, I mean, this is a guy I'm looking to see how he responds to the Trouba trade. That's also been his main D partner as a Ranger was Trouba and Miller. So let's see how Miller responds to this. Let's see how he plays now. Is he going to falter? Because he'll be gone. Jury's showing he's not taking it, you know? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of covered it all there for you. But
no, that's that's pretty much it. Game starting, right? So is there anything else?
but
Is,
no, let's go.
What's the guy's name? How do you pronounce it? The new defenseman? Is he
Urho Vakanainen? No, he's on
Vakanainen?
He's on the injured reserve right now, so we won't see him play. But yeah, he's a depth D, a former first-round pick of Boston, was traded for Hampus Lindholm. So he's, just a solid defensive guy. I mean, his defensive metrics are really good analytically. I haven't seen him a lot. So for eye test purposes, but just looking at his analytics, it seems like he's a stay-at-home D who can move the puck decently. Nothing special, but a good 6th, 7th defenseman or anything. So, can't hurt to have a guy like that. Yeah.
Listen, they got something back, and they didn't have to just force him onto waivers, so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Trouba interview in between the first period and second period here, according to Paul. So I think we're joining a show tonight, right? What's the name of the show?
Hockey Talk Nation.
Yeah, Hockey Talk Nation. We're joining them at 8. So that's shortly. So hopefully we can see the interview with Trouba, but make sure you guys tell us what happened if we missed it. All right. Yeah. But check us out there, Hockey Talk Nation on YouTube. We'll be there in like 25 minutes. Until then, enjoy the game tonight, boys. It's been a crazy day.
Hockey Stick Talk Nation. Sorry, guys. Thanks for the correction. Hockey Stick Talk Nation will be on live at 8 o'clock. Come check us out. I'll post it on our story.
Post the link. So people are asking. So, all right, boys. Enjoy the game, everyone. Let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers. Love you guys.